Hi, this is Stacia, and we're going to take a look at a USCF rated online game from the Tuesday Tussle. So this is a real tournament game that I played tonight on January 12th, 2021 during the pandemic. And for this game, I faced none other than my coach, Jim Antoline. He sort of was my coach from, I'd say, rating 1400. He got me up to like 1790, so good coach. So it's tough playing him. He doesn't play that much anymore, but he definitely has tons of knowledge, so always a tough opponent, especially since he's basically better than me. All right, so let's look at the game. All right, so well, he surprised me right on the first move. He almost always plays d4 as far as I know, but he chose the move e4. So the lines I prepared went out the window, and I played e5 because that is what I play these days. I can play d5 in a pinch. I could play the Scandinavian. I played this for a good year or two. But he has some nice lines against it, so I wouldn't dare do that. So instead, e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and I was wondering what he had in mind here, and sure enough, d4 at the Scotch. I don't like facing the Scotch. I don't normally know what I'm doing, so excellent choice by him. Now, you pretty much got to take this pawn. I can't think of a better move. Knight takes, and now I know that I want to start playing the move knight f6 here as per the Grandmaster Jan Gustafsson e4 e5 repertoire, but I only watched the videos on that for the first time the other day, and I'm definitely not ready to play it, so I played bishop to c5, my normal move, and here he took the knight. So okay, I like queen f6 here. You can play this way. It's like, I feel like I'm one of my kids' students. Like, someone takes their knight and they just ignore it and play something else. Yeah, but I am threatening mate, so they can't really retreat the knight. Yeah, and he played this move queen to f3, which he actually let me know that this line is pretty good against the way I play. But I didn't have a chance to like look at this line. So I'm in new waters, and I know that I'm basically outclassed. He knows the line, he's gonna know it better than me, and he already knows it's good. So that's where I was at this point of the game. So I have a couple different options here. I mean, I can take the knight. I could take the knight with either pawn, probably. I think both are options. I could trade queens and damage the white structure a little bit. Or I could do something else, like maybe queen takes knight is an option. Although it feels weird. Like, I'm actually wondering about the move bishop c4 there. Let's look at that for a second. Is this a blunder? It says knight c3, but what about bishop c4? Wow, it says we can take now. Oh, it's just the bishop's undefended. Sorry, I missed this. I didn't really consider that. Okay. So there is no bishop c4. Okay, good to know. That's why we look at stuff. All right, so I decided to trade queens only because this has led to endgames for me in the past that I don't mind really. So I was kind of curious what could be so bad about this. I mean, my structure is going to get damaged when I recapture the knight, and I took this way. So I wanted to make sure that white had a little bit of a damaged structure too. Although you could argue this G file is useful. So that's probably the idea there. Also, white has a pawn in the center and I do not. So I do think white's a little better here. Okay, bishop e3, challenging my bishop. Pretty annoying move. I simply pulled back. Okay, knight out. Yeah, and this move I might regret a little bit. I want to see what the computer wants. Computer wants to take and play knight f6. And after bishop c4, play king e7. I kept thinking about king e7 during the game. But yeah, I mean, you definitely have to trade dark square bishops before you do this move. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, something to file it in our memory banks. Instead, during the game, I went here, and then what I found is that after he castled, I had trouble castling. Can't castle through check, Stacia. You tell your students that. Maybe you should take notes. Yeah, so I have to make a plan for my king, and maybe I want to go king e7, I don't know. But mostly I want to castle so that my rook comes to the open d file. So knight f6, and part of my idea with this move is knight d7. If I can block the d file, then I can castle. Okay, so rook g1. Definitely thought he would play this, and I reasoned that g6, it's an ugly looking move for sure, but I felt it was fine here. Okay, it undefends the knight, but my knight's fine, and he's going to move away. And yes, I have dark square weaknesses, but I didn't think that these were easy to exploit right away, at least. So g6. And now you're saying, okay, what's your rook doing there? Right? So interesting moment in the game. So he thought a long time and then played knight to e2. So maybe this is his first move out of book, I don't know. Interesting move because, well, he is dropping a pawn, but it's basically a trap. This is what happened to Bobby Fischer in that famous game. Of course, Bobby Fischer saw way deeper than one move, but if I take b3 and I'm going to lose this bishop, the king will get him. So he had to make sure that works for him, and it does. And here I decided to play a cheeky move, a5. So I thought that now I was actually threatening to take the a2 pawn, because, like, let's say he does something random. Well, I actually thought he would do this, like attack the bishop. I was planning this move because now if b3, I have to move a4, destabilizing the white pawn structure. And if he goes king b2, I can take. My bishop is now defended twice, and if he takes, I'm still defended. The only problem with this, though, is that now my bishop is entombed. That's what I call this. Like, he's entombed. Like, he's defended. He's not going to get captured yet. Although I'm suddenly wondering about rook to a1. But he is pretty useless there. So I think my a5 move actually doesn't work in hindsight. But my opponent stopped my threat anyway, which I'm glad. So a3. All right. And then knight d7, I want to castle queenside. It's kind of scary though. I always have to watch out for this dark square bishop. He has ways to get in the position. So, okay, knight there attacking the light square bishop. Yeah, and here, you know, I admit that I made a concession. I castled. This allows knight takes bishop. I'm going to lose the bishop pair, and it's going to create a new pawn weakness. I didn't see a better way to go about this, though. I didn't blunder that. Like, I did choose it. Computer says white's slightly better, so I guess this is okay. You know what part of the reason was? Is I was seeing lines where, let's say, no, this is right. This is what I thought. Now, I thought when he attacks this pawn, yeah, now I take the bishop. This is a bit of a concession too, but at least I'm taking the two bishops away from white. That's one good thing. Because I honestly think this bishop's going to come here. And this bishop is going to come here. Where even if I push the pawn, the bishop could arrive on e6, creating a pretty annoying pin. And I wasn't seeing a way to get out of this pin. And if this bishop comes crashing down onto g5, attacking the rook, which is defending the knight, I'm going to find myself in a world of hurt. I'm probably going to lose a piece. So that is why I traded here. Don't want to allow that bishop to infiltrate on my dark squares. Computer wanted to trade it a long time ago. Maybe it saw this coming a long time ago. Yeah, and then I played this sad move. Okay. Turns out it is the best move. I'm glad to see that. Rook d to e8. Defend the pawn. It's really that simple. I'm just defending the pawn. All right. So it looks like he's going to double now. So now my knight is not pinned. So I should get him out of there, I thought. So knight to e5. This is a fork, but there is a way to defend both. And that is to move the bishop to e2 where it defends the pawn. Okay, and rook to f8 is what I played. So here I thought he should probably push. That will create a nice center for him. So yes, f4. And then knight to d7. Okay, so from here, my plan is I need to improve my rooks and improve my knight. And maybe hop my knight around, and maybe I can win some pawns or something. Yeah, really concrete plan, right? e5 was played. I usually wouldn't condone a move like that, but here, even though you're giving up the d5 square and the f5 square, you're really not, because this pawn will come and attack them again. So e5 makes a lot of sense. It also opens up the light squares for the bishop. Like, how annoying would this be? Like, station the bishop right there. It's pretty annoying. All right, so knight here. Okay, so he saw I want to go into the d5 square, so he stopped it. But this also does open up some weaknesses, like this square. Okay, so now rook to d8. I definitely was thinking about hopping in here. Like, I thought this is a nice little maneuver, but here, maybe he could just go king c2. Or maybe he could go b3 followed by king c2. And the pawn's defended and white has more space now. And if I go here, it's really no big deal, I don't think. Maybe rook here. And he can still double. I actually like white quite a bit in this position. My knight's also not defended and subject to attack. So yeah, I definitely like white. Okay, so all that hopping around gets me nowhere. That's kind of what I thought might happen in the game. So after c4, I'm like, well, I'm defending a pawn and the pawn's not even attacked. So maybe I should move my rook on an open file. All right. Now he attacked the pawn, which I thought he might actually. Now I can defend it again. I could do that. But then I saw this continuation. Like if I take this pawn right now, attacking the rook, he can actually take with check, and that would be a fork. So I never get time to take the rook. So that would just be a blunder. So instead I traded rooks first. Now the king is on d2. So I could take the pawn with check. And I think this is what happened in the game. Let's go look. Yeah, pawn there and here. Now there was more calculating to do prior to this exchange though, because okay, he can attack my knight. He can come up here or here and attack the knight. And then when my knight moves, I don't have a way to defend this pawn, so I'm going to lose this with check. But the idea I had was that I could go king d8. By the way, if the king goes here, I have this move. And if the king goes here, I have this move, check. So he probably should go here. And then when I take here and then check here, then he could try to attack me maybe here. Then I have king e7. And even though his king's attacking my knight, I'm attacking his bishop. And I'm winning pawns in the process, so can't be too bad. All right, so that is what happened, I think. Yeah, I took here, check, but king d8. I like king d8 a lot. King there, and now, oh, I checked instead of king e7. That's what I did. Oh, I definitely thought about king e7 though. Yeah, knight f5 check might be better. Computer actually likes it. Okay, so I'm saying, would you like to give up your bishop for my knight? I actually think the bishop is better than the knight because there's pawns on both sides of the board, and with one open file, the rooks are likely to trade off. But he simply moved his king. King e7 attacking the bishop. He could still decide to take the knight, but he moved away. Okay, so here, I think he made the right decision. Like, the computer wants to take, but it says black's better. So, I mean, I think it's better to keep it more complicated. This bishop might prove valuable later. So rook d8. I actually have a threat here. If white does nothing, like let's say white does this, I'm threatening to win the bishop with check. The king must go here, check, and that's a fork. The bishop is undefended. So he has to stop that threat, and he did with rook d1. And here I thought, you know, I could move my rook away, but maybe I should just trade. So I did. Computer says it's okay. And then my plan became, I'm gonna hop my knight around and see what happens. So I have a problem in this position, actually. My problem is this pawn. Okay, that is a connected pass pawn. And also, I can't really step to the e6 square and blockade with my king because my opponent has a light square bishop who will continuously threaten that king. And I have to worry about infiltration here too. Maybe coming here. So this move will be needed. Okay, anyway. So I played knight g6. h4 was played. Yeah, and here the computer shows a really nice continuation. So if you want to pause your video and see if you can find it, go ahead and do so now. I think it's really instructive. Okay, so the move here is h5 and black is winning. Okay, it seems pretty amazing that black could be winning now, but it's because of a specific idea. Okay, I saw h5 during the game. It's a move I want to play. But I also want to put my knight on f5. Now, if I put my knight there, guess what? The pawn and the knight are defended by the same pawn. That means that pawn is overworked. So I was afraid of bishop takes pawn, pawn takes, king takes knight, white wins. That's what I thought. Guess what though? Even though that would be true, the computer found a way out of it. That's what's so cool about this. So let's say bishop f3. If I go knight f5 and white tries this idea, there's actually a fork. Look at that. That's pretty. So that idea doesn't work. And if that idea doesn't work, then when I go knight f5, I'm attacking the h pawn and there's no way to defend it. So it's simply going to fall. And when it does, this guy becomes very strong and winning for black. So what a cool idea. So it's just like one of those things where I was so happy I saw far enough to see the overworked pawn. but if I looked a step further, I would have seen that it doesn't work to exploit that overworked pawn, and then I win this. So very cool stuff. I hope you guys appreciate that too. This is why we love chess, right? Okay, knight to e6. Instead, because I'm not brilliant, and my opponent is brilliant, so he played h5. Nice move. I was scared when I saw it because I'm like, wait, you know, like your first instinct is to take it and have a passed pawn, but if I take it, I'm pretty sure I'm lost. f5 attacks the knight. I guess I could go here, but this does not look good. These guys are going to be very strong. I'm probably lost. So I cannot take that pawn. Cannot take that pawn. He's doing an important job guarding the square. He's keeping the pawn out. He's keeping the king out. So, okay, so I went here instead. Oh, I went here. Check the king. Okay, check the king. He went back. So here, you know, I don't think either one of us wanted to draw. That's probably why he wanted to go there. Although I did have less than 2 minutes on my clock. And he had 9 minutes. But you guys know how I roll. Okay, king to e6. I reasoned that he can't check me at the moment, so maybe this is okay. He can check me here though. Yeah, and I'm kind of curious about that because then it might let that happen. Oh, but then this pawn falls. Interesting. Okay. So he captured here. I took. And this was his other idea, to attack the newly weak pawn on g6. So I defended it. Attacked the knight, so I moved it with check. Now I'm attacking the pawn, so he defended it. Yeah, and here, what to do? I was afraid to play c5. Like, in an ideal world, I would get these pawns rolling and create a passed pawn. You know, that's what I would like to do. But with this light square bishop and this weak square allowing the king in, I was very nervous to do this. Computer, however, says c5 is correct. And if here, doesn't matter because we're going to take the pawn. So that's fine, I guess. Oh, look at that. Didn't really consider that. Yeah, when we win this pawn, it creates a passed pawn. Gotta remember that, right? But give me a break. I had 2 minutes. So I didn't do that. I did this. Okay, king e7, kind of a safe move. Bishop back, kind of a safe move. Yeah, and now I'm like, well, now my pawn's not overworked, so I'm going to put my knight on f5. And he traded some. Knight f5. Okay, I've got to stop bishop takes c6, so b5. Yeah, and then a very sad end to an otherwise good game with check here, here, and the unfortunate move, bishop here. So I think he wants to take my knight and create this type of situation where I blockade, but then probably he can come eat my pawns or something. So it's probably would be lost if that happens. But instead, beware of the knight fork. So just like in real life, never walk into a fork. So I feel bad about this though. I mean, I feel I was strategically outplayed this game, basically. I did find that one tactical combination to equalize things a bit, but otherwise I was getting outplayed. So for it to end like this is a little bit sad, but I did have 1 minute on my clock to his 8 minutes, so at least I'm finding moves quickly when I need to, so that's important. And that's the game. So I'm 1 for 1 in the Tuesday Tussle, and we're going to quickly review the key moments now, okay? So this is the opening, the Scotch. This is going to be my new move. But I actually think this endgame is okay. I don't mind playing this as black. I think next time I'll trade the dark square bishop immediately, because this guy became a problem and I had to take him anyway, which means bishop b6 was a waste of a tempo. Yeah, and then I had to, all kinds of pressure here. But for the most part, I like the way I played it. Yeah, and I was lucky that in this moment I did find rook takes d2. This is the only way to go forward without being way worse. And then we had this ending. So trading rooks is fine. I'm glad to see that. Yeah, but here the brilliant move, h5 wins. What a cool idea. I think that's a very instructive moment. But I would need more time on my clock to find something like that. So that's something else to keep in mind, is sometimes time management is very important. Okay, but playing on was the right choice, because if your opponent does make a mistake, you need to be ready to take advantage, and eventually that happened this game, unfortunately. So all right, well, I hope this was instructive and fun to watch, and I'll be back with more chess. All right, thanks so much. Bye.